Hi, folks. On this episode of the Buy Back Your Life show, I chat with running savant Jon Bradnam, who juggles a full plate of family life with his wife and two kids, his career as a teacher, training for marathons, and a couple other extra activities on the side. One of the most inspirational parts of Jon's life, however, is that he is a two-time cancer survivor who decided to renew his love of running after his second recovery back in 2018. He's more focused and determined than ever, and just last weekend completed the Boston Marathon in an impressive 2 hours and 30 minutes. Jon shares what kind of effort it took to get himself to this point in life and how the power of having a super team around him was essential to reviving his running career and pursuing other passions. And if you want to connect with other like-minded stock investors, go join my private Facebook group where I share daily market updates with a following of people who all want to learn about stocks and how they can create long-term wealth for themselves as well. To join the group, all you got to do is go to www.facebook.com/groups/trading options daily. That's all for the intro. Let's get into the episode. This week on the Buy Back Your Life show, talking with track star marathon runner Jon Bradnam. Johnny B, how's life, man?
Oh, it's good to catch up with you, Fergie. Life is good. I've been doing a lot of running recently, but I haven't talked to you for quite some time. So it's good to see you again. It's good to catch up. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
It has been a while, and thank you so much for being on the show. I'm not used to you with a trim beard. You're looking svelte. Was that
That's
for
what
race
happens
day?
one year. Yeah, this is the race day look. I knew there'd be a little photographer action, so I figured I'd sculpt the face a little bit for that.
Yeah, gotta look good. Gotta look good in Boston, man. How was the experience? Of like, I know there's a bunch of stuff to unpack, but like you just like finished this past weekend, right? Running the marathon.
Yeah, so I've been back for, I guess, yeah, basically a week. I got back last Tuesday. So a week ago, I was in Boston running the Boston Marathon, which was kind of a bucket list item since I got back into running. And yeah, conquered that. And it was a pretty surreal experience being in Boston, being at the granddaddy of them all, and being able to kind of showcase my running at that stage.
No doubt. You've been doing this a long time. Like you were a runner back in the day. And
Yeah, I
I actually,
remember like back in the day, I'm going back to the Carlton days with Billy
yeah,
Beatty. I remember running
yeah.
with Billy back in the day and doing the cross country thing. And like I was always into running, but never like had a coach or a club or anything like that. So it's one of those things that I've always enjoyed doing, and kind of have gone back and forth doing it without really any sort of professional coaching or anything like that. I've always enjoyed it, had some, I guess, moderate success for what I was, able to do back in the day. And it's been great being able to pick it back up the last 5 years.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, just natural ability takes over, right? You have fun with it, and you do it for soccer too. And you're reffing soccer, and you're an active guy. I remember back when we were kids. This is like, oh man, maybe like grade 5 or 6. And I remember being like, I was the tallest guy out there running, and I don't know why I was doing cross country. I was an idiot because I just love sports. But like, I was definitely like the tallest kid, and then I just remember having a race with you. I'm like, who the hell is this guy who's like just as big as I am, and like he's crushing it. Like, that was you. I remember this back like in the day, and I was like, oh my god, this Johnny kid and is just a phenom. And like we connected years later through church and everything else. High school.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I was thinking about that when you asked me to do this. Like, wow, like I remember that back in the day too. Like there was a couple kids who could run. And I remember like the cross country stuff. I was lucky, I went to a school called Lake Breeze, which was super small and it's closed down now. But we had a principal there, Gord Hamilton, who was like a runner himself. So he took us kind of all under his wing from like grade 3, where we'd run through the creek, through the neighborhood every single morning before school, like stuff that would never happen now because of liability reasons and stuff like that. But us little 8 and 9-year-old kids would be crushing like kilometers early on in life. And I think that's honestly where the foundation started. And like I look back at my class, like one of the kids went on to be a scholarship runner. A couple of scholarship athletes from my class in different sports, just like super small school, but we had that foundation and that like kind of drive early on and that example early on. I think that was a big foundation for us all.
Yeah, it just takes one influence to kind of shape you and kind of put you on the right path. And like as you said, it trickled down to multiple people in your school and in your grade.
Well, and for us, it just became normal, right? Like you just went to school an hour early and you went for a run at the creek. Like that's just what we did. Like we didn't realize that other kids weren't doing that at other places. So it was just our normal, right?
Yeah, no one else was psychotic enough as a teacher to make their kids do that. We had some basketball practices early in the morning. Like kids are playing hockey, but nobody's going out for runs in the wintertime in Canada. Doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah, no, it was those are my earliest memories of running. And then, yeah, so I've kind of been doing it off and on for many years, and kind of got out of it during the end of high school. I got into different sports and some music stuff and some church stuff. And when university took over, like school took over and life took over, and was not running at all. And definitely my body was showing that as well. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, got back into it in 2018, I guess it would be now. So,
Right
yeah.
on. Let's go back a little bit and kind of back up the story, because like we knew each other in high school, but then we kind of, I don't want to say parted ways, but you went to Brock and I was at Brock doing different things, and
Yeah.
you're I want to say more studious than I was when I was playing basketball in those days. There were some different priorities for me.
Well, I remember you, but before you started playing basketball at Brock, I think we were playing in the summer, and I almost ruined your career before the season
Oh
even
yeah,
started.
that's true. Yeah, the old ankle sprain. Oh,
That was my fault.
hey, dude, I've had so many of those in my career. It just
That
happens. You
was
got
a
to deal with
bad
it.
one.
It was a bad
Yeah.
one. Yeah, yeah, that was a bad one. But no, but after you done Brock, you kind of went and traveled the world a bit. Got some
Yeah, so
culture in there.
I finished Brock in 2010, and then got married to Michelle right after, and we ended up traveling to England for a year and working and traveling and kind of doing the newlywed thing out in a different country, which was, you know, the perfect opportunity to do that, right? We didn't have any responsibilities, anything tying us down here.
Yeah.
At that time, getting into teaching was really difficult in this area. So going and traveling, there was lots more opportunities, and just being able to see the world without any like family obligations or career obligations at home was a nice opportunity.
Yeah. And you obviously got some of the sights and sounds of Europe when you were out there. Like you did
Yeah.
Oktoberfest and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, we never did Oktoberfest, but we did St. Patrick's Day in Dublin, which was a riot.
Wild.
We did New Year's in Paris, just taking the channel across, which was really super special. Traveled to Rome, did all the England things, saw like Stonehenge, a bunch of soccer games, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, some of the local teams as well, which was pretty cool. And yeah, just kind of lived the London experience for the year, and got some teaching experience, which was nice coming back home as well.
Did those are obviously like memories you're going to treasure forever. Is there a part of you that wants to go back at all? Would you guys ever go back?
I think we would go back to visit and kind of show the kids like where we first started off.
Yeah.
To go back and live, like our roots are here, our home is here, right? So I think we're happy here, and it's nice being close to family and friends in this area. So as much as it was fun to travel for that year, I think there's no place like home. So coming back home was nice.
I would agree with you on that one. Being a small town or smaller town kind of guys here, we're both from the Niagara region. Like we don't have
Yeah.
the big city in us, and like
And Niagara, like people travel from around the world to come to Niagara, right? So
it's
we're
true. It's
in a
true.
pretty ideal spot. And
Yeah.
you know, sometimes I think being from here, we undervalue that. But when you've kind of been different places, like Niagara is a pretty special place too.
No doubt, man. Getting better by the day. Like there's so much going on, and like development, and just the cities are blowing up, and good or bad for population growth,
Sure.
but like it's bringing new things and new things to do and
Sure,
resources to the city.
there's tons of development. I know we feel it on the school end because the schools are all busting at the seams with new kids and new families coming from a lot of from the GTA, and you know, there's new houses, new builds, multiple families living in the same house. So it's there's definitely a population boom going on here right now.
So you and Michelle did really well with your property when you purchased it when you came back from England.
Yeah, I know we've talked about that. I feel bad for people trying to get into the housing market now. We lucked out, and there was no foresight. There was nothing special about any sort of investing, like knowledge or anything like that. We just needed a house, and we got lucky. Growing up in St. Catharines, we first looked in St. Catharines for places, and we looked at a couple spots. And even at that time, like 2010, 2011, and things were, you know, higher price than we had hoped in St. Catharines. So we checked out Welland, and you know, we got a great little neighborhood here in Welland, in the Chippewa Park neighborhood. Found a great old home. We've kind of renovated everything recently, so it's you know, we've got a house from the 1950s that's looking like the 2020s now, which is pretty
Beautiful.
special. And
Beautiful.
yeah, our house didn't cost very much, so we're super fortunate there. And again, people starting off now, it's definitely a much tougher time to get into that market.
It's changed so much in such a short amount of time. I remember my first property I bought was for $120, and I thought like I was scrounging to figure out how to buy that property, and like now it's like, oh, start our home in St. Catharines. Yeah, there's 700,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's wild, man. But yeah, you guys have a nice spot there. The Rose City is booming. Shout
Yeah, it
out
is
to
booming right now.
shout out to Empty Bellies, my favorite restaurant in
Empty
Welland.
Bellies is a good spot.
It's I think it's kind of like a local place, but like, do you know any good pizza spots in Welland? I don't know.
Yeah, we have our two go-to places. Depends on what you're hoping for. We go to either Rose City Pizza or Volcano. So like
Oh, Volcanoes
Rose City
Pizza.
is super close to us, and Rose City's like it's always like 9.5 out of 10. It's
Yeah.
always solid, really, really good.
Yeah.
Volcano sometimes will be like an 11 out of 10. It's like the most dynamite pizza you've ever had. And sometimes, it's not quite at that level, but those are the two places we go to. We love both Volcanoes and Rose City. And
Sweet.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm a big food guy. I'm a big pizza guy. So whenever I can find out pizza wherever I'm going, like I want to find the best spot to go and hit that up for sure. And
those are the two local places that are
Volcano and Rose
definitely
City.
pretty
Nice.
popular. Yeah.
Sweet. Cool, man. That's awesome. Wanted to kind of touch on kind of the journey you've been to, like between maybe coming back home and like getting things set up in the teaching world, and then
Yeah.
you had some challenges getting kind of started, and then there's some health things that came up. You
Sure.
want to
Yeah,
kind
I
of just
can
elaborate
talk
on
about
that?
yeah, I can talk about that a bit. So yeah, I got back. We came back home in 2011 and got into teaching here. And yeah, I was teaching for a few years, got the family started. Aria was born in 2013, and Leighton was born in 2015. Shortly after Leighton was born, 2016 is kind of when I had some health issues. And basically, I noticed it because of sports. I was involved, as you said, I'm very involved in soccer locally, and had a soccer game. Actually, before the soccer game, I guess I noticed some discomfort. And being a dude, like as an athletic dude, like we always have discomfort, right? You don't
All the
really think,
time.
don't really think too much
It's
about it,
natural.
right? It's
Yeah.
like you just kind of deal with it and keep going, right? And I remember I mentioned it to Michelle. Michelle's like, well, you should probably get checked out. It's like, well, no, nah, it's all right. So let it go for a couple of weeks, and definitely like remember the kids jumping up on my lap and why am I in pain when the kids are jumping on my lap? Like, this is strange. And so I got checked out, went to the hospital, got some testing done. And at the time they thought I was just dealing with some sort of infection or whatever, and gave me some antibiotics. But they also said, like, if things progressively get worse, to come back and get checked out. Well, a few days later, at a soccer game, and I remember like I was trying to run, and like for me, running is something that I've always done, and I couldn't run. Like I could not run without like almost being like in crippling pain. Like, this isn't right. So I remember the guy I was with was like, John, you got to go get checked. Yeah, I need to get checked out. And even at that point, I was like, whatever, I'll go to school the next day. So I remember the next day going to school, and my teaching partner, Joey, who's in the room next to me, was like, John, you look terrible. You need to go get checked out. I'm like, yeah, okay. I remember just going home and like driving to my driveway and just crying because I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And drove to the hospital. And at that point, the doctors were like, yeah, some of your testing from the week has started to come back. Like, there's definitely a tumor. You have cancer going on. I'm thinking to myself, what the heck? Like, I just drove myself to the hospital, and the doctor's like, it's aggressive. We can't wait on this one. We're gonna do surgery tonight, which is like,
holy cow.
Like in the morning, I was at school teaching, and then
Yeah.
like I'm having surgery for cancer that same day,
That's a shock to process.
which was nuts. And like my kids at the time were 3 and 1, so super young kids at home. And I remember just making a call to Michelle saying like, I'm at the hospital, doctor's doing surgery tonight. Like, I can't drive home. Like, someone's come pick me up. I have cancer. And it's like, that was the hardest phone call I've ever made in my life.
No doubt.
Because, your life's changed. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was 2016. And again, thank God they caught it like when they did. And the doctor wanted to take care of things as quickly as possible. So did surgery the same day I went to hospital. And, people complain about our medical system sometimes and things taking longer than they hope. From my experiences, like I've dealt with different things, and some things take a long time, but when they feel something needs to be done, like they are ready to act. So
right.
super impressed with that situation.
Yeah, it depends on the severity, and they just
exactly
they get to work and they fix it, right? They try to fix it. Yeah.
Especially when it's like a known issue, right? Like it was pretty black and white. Like, it's cancerous, it's aggressive, we're getting rid of it now. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then so again, they thought they caught stuff fairly early. So when they did the like the post checkup, I remember going kind of joking with the doctor, like I felt fine, was kind of back to normal life, back working, back involved with soccer. And some of the tests came back post-op, and they realized that the cancer had spread into my abdomen. So they found a couple tumors in there and realized, or they told me I basically had 2 options. One was to go through chemotherapy, and one was to go through something called a retro prenatal lymph node dissection, which is basically where they split you open from like your throat to your groin and take out all your lymph nodes. So at that point, that was more than a local issue, so they sent me to Princess Margaret in
Yeah.
Toronto, which is
Yeah.
again, well, they gave me the option of going to either Hamilton in Dravinsky or to Princess Margaret in Toronto, and basically talked it over with Michelle. And like Princess Margaret's world renowned for their cancer treatments, right? It's one of the top hospitals in the world. People travel globally to go there, right? So if they're giving me that option, like I kind of have to take it.
Yeah.
So went there and talked things over with the doctors, and the odds were fairly similar between doing the chemotherapy and the surgery. And my thinking at the time was like, chemotherapy doesn't really, like, you can't make a mistake with chemotherapy. Like it just fries everything.
Right.
Like as skilled and as talented as doctors are, like if they miss a lymph node while they're doing some sort of surgery, like I'll be doing chemotherapy anyway.
Yeah,
so that was kind of my thinking going into it. So I just, go through the frying process now and take care of it. Right. So that was summer 2016. Went through nine weeks of chemotherapy and a pretty aggressive treatment. So it's called BEP, bleomycin etoposide cisplatin, and it's one of the more aggressive forms of chemotherapy, just because it was aggressive form of cancer. So
right.
That hopefully was going to take care of things, and thank God it did. So that all the testing came back clear, and so that was 2016 in the fall, and testing came back clear at that time. And then fast forward a couple of years to 2018, I was just doing some routine checkups there. Like they send you every few months to make sure things are okay. And they noticed another tumor in my throat. And I was like, well, what's going on there? And they thought, well, again, they didn't think too much of it. So they did biopsy, and sure enough, there was thyroid cancer going on. So 2018 was like repeating the process just for something different. So 2018, they took out my thyroid, and I went through some radiation for that as well. And I would say that one was much less invasive and a much simpler process. There was no chemotherapy with that one. That was like surgery, deal with the scar for a couple of weeks, and go through the radiation process, which is definitely not as aggressive as the chemotherapy. And that was 2018. That was kind of my kickstart to get back into running. I was like, these last 3 years have been terrible, like health wise. I look like crap, like I feel like crap. I haven't been able to do anything physical like I used to be able to do. And at that point, my goal is just to get back into running 5Ks and to be like under 20 minutes again, which in hindsight now seems so simple, but like at that point, like that was like a huge goal for me, right? I didn't know if I'd be able to do that. I didn't mention this earlier, like after having chemotherapy, I dealt with really bad neuropathy in my feet. So neuropathy is like when you basically can't feel your feet. So I don't even remember, I might've been playing with you at the time, playing ball hockey. I remember I'd stopped playing obviously when I was sick. And I remember, I think either Tom or Dan had called me back to play ball hockey with you guys. And just as a call-up fill-in kind of thing. I remember like showing up first time doing sports in a while.
Yeah.
And I remember like someone passed me the ball. I went to run, and like my feet wouldn't do what my brain was telling them to. I remember just falling over, and it was like one of the most like demoralizing things that's ever happened. Like I can't even move. I can't even run right now. Like my body's telling me to go there, and my feet won't let me do it. Like it was heartbreaking, to be honest. I remember like feeling terrible. And then same thing, second time in the game, someone passed me the ball, and I was like, I can't physically do this. I'm thinking to myself, like, will I ever be able to do this kind of thing again? Like,
the self-doubt creeps in, right? And
I'd go home and like lay in bed, and like my feet just felt like cinder blocks because like the signals weren't sending to my feet from my brain. And I guess that's a fairly common side effect from the chemotherapy treatment that I had. But again, at that time, like you don't know, like that could be lifelong, that could be short-lived. For me, it was for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months where I dealt with that. And like
therapy then? You have to do like physical
therapy?
No,
it's just something. No, there's no therapy with that. It was just, I guess your body slowly recovers, because chemotherapy is obviously like aggressive on everything in your body, not just the cancer. Like it's aggressive on everything. So that was one of the side effects. It affects some of my nervous system. And so for me, like I could walk, but I couldn't run. And it was like, as someone who'd grown up being like athletic, like it was super terrible.
I couldn't imagine going through that. And thank you so much for sharing, buddy. Like to be as active as you were your whole life, and then to have that kind of taken away in a moment, and then like it just everything changes, right? And I think it just goes back to like the point I think about when I hear that story is like, you never know like what life's going to throw at you. So just, if you're not happy with what you're doing, like, why are you doing that with yourself? Like, it could all be taken away the next day. Like, do
Well,
things that make you happy.
100%. And like for myself, I totally took a lot of that stuff for granted before being sick, right? Like I didn't really ever train for running. I was always decently good at it, but like I didn't train. I wasn't in a club. Yeah, I get, in local races, I would do decently. I'd never win, but like, I was just kind of complacent with it.
Yeah.
Played sports, enjoyed sports, but was never competitive. But like when your body's taken away from you, when your health's taken away from you, you're like, wow, like I'm capable of so much more than what I've been like actually doing if I just put some effort in and
Yeah.
take care of some things. So it
Focus
was
is
it was a
real.
bit of a wake up call, to be honest. Like when you're going down that path and like you kind of are staring your own mortality like face on, right? You realize that like we're all mortal, like we're
Yeah.
we're not going to live forever, so like take advantage of the time that we have.
Yeah. When that kind of clicks and that moment hits for you, it just kind of, it's surreal. And like, you kind of get like a
it's
wide
it's
view
a
of how,
game
what life's
changer,
going to
right?
be.
Like it's totally a game changer, right?
Yeah.
Like people go through life and just take everything for granted, and like when like your days are numbered, like it changes the way you think about things.
Yeah. Changes what you want to do, what you want to
Sure,
experience, who you want to
for
spend it
sure.
with.
100%. Yeah.
To a lesser degree, a much lesser degree than you, I kind of had a mini moment like that. I'm going to share a quick story. Like when I was working
Sure.
in the
Yeah. Go
engineering
ahead.
field, I don't know, I was kind of getting complacent with what I was doing there too, and like, great company, great people, but I looked around and I had a sight of like what people in like their 60s and like later 60s were doing in the industry, and like, is this going to be me in like 40 years? Like, am I going to do my whole life doing this? And like, that's going to be my future. Like, it was like a rock got dropped on me. Like, oh my God, like this can't happen. Like, I can't let this happen. So like, it was a smaller moment of clarity, but it's like same kind of idea. Like, you get those pieces and it just changes your outlook, and then everything changes after that. You can't go back.
For
Just
sure.
it's done. You're on a different path then.
And like it's one of those things too where it's like as terrible as it was for me or for you, like you're almost thankful for those kind of moments because it does change your outlook on life. And I don't know, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today doing what I do now if it wasn't for what's happened in my life.
Um, yeah, man, like a crazy change. So thankful for you sharing that story again. I want to
Yeah.
ask the question though, with this kind of shift now,
Hmm.
you're kind of on a different path. Have you had to kind of uh, have there been people that aren't in your life now that were before for the reason because you're on this different path now? It's like, have people kind of fallen out as you made this transition?
It's hard. Yeah. And it's partially on me and partially on other people, I guess. It's difficult because you have people you've known your whole life, for example. Like I'll use you as an example, right? Like I've known you forever.
Yeah,
And like I don't communicate with you a whole lot anymore just because, I'm focused on certain things and you're focused on certain things. It has nothing to do with, any like disagreements or anything
for
like
sure,
that,
for
right? It's
sure.
just,
Yeah,
wherever your life kind of takes you, the people kind of follow, I guess. Um, and it's again, like I feel bad sometimes for like not being as good at communicating with certain people that I, cared about and still do care about.
yeah,
um but life gets busy. I have a family, I have a career, I have athletic goals, I have other stuff to do with soccer. Like I got a ton going on, and I feel bad not sitting on my phone just like catching up and texting people for half an hour sometimes. But
yeah.
I honestly, I don't have the time. And sometimes I think, well, how could I make that time? Is it worth it? And it's like what you were saying before, like your time is valuable, right? And
So valuable. Yeah,
it's hard to kind of find that balance sometimes.
yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Totally get it, man. And like, there's just things that aren't going to get done once you have a different kind of focus and a schedule and you're doing different things. Things have to get pushed because there is so much time in the day. And if you try to work all hours a day or trying to do stuff all the time, you're gonna get burned out. You're not going to be able to do like
For
optimal
sure.
level stuff, right? So
For sure.
it's the way it goes, especially when you're on this kind of this straight like path that you want to chase.
For
Everything
sure.
else kind of gets pushed away. It's like putting blinders on a horse, right? You're focused on what you're doing, and there's things like in your way and like in that lane with you, but everything else is kind of to the outside.
Well, even like I'll use an example for what you're just talking about, the whole blinders thing. Like when you're in a marathon build, like it really does kind of consume your everything, like your diet, your nutrition, your energy, your mental space, your focus, like your physical stamina, like everything. So like you don't realize it until it's done. So like this last race in Boston, it's like this last week has been kind of weird because like I haven't run in a week. I haven't worried about what I've been eating in a week. I've had extra time this week. I haven't had to wake up at 5 o'clock and train because I train before going to work. Because that's the time that I have. So I wake up every morning normally and train early in the dark on the streets by myself. It's not fun, especially this winter's been terrible.
Yeah.
But like that's part of the goal, and you do what you have to do. And it's like the energy, the mental focus, all that stuff. It'd be the same for anything that people really care about. So it'd be the same for you. Like I'm sure you put your everything into what you do. And it's weird when you have that focus and it's gone. So for this last week, like I haven't had that focus, and it's like, oh man, like I feel like almost like a different person right now.
Got to find something to fill the void.
Right. So I'll kick things back. Yeah, I'll kick things back into gear shortly, but it's a different time right now.
Enjoy the Raptors game on
Yeah,
Thursday night.
exactly.
Let's go,
a little
Raptors.
Spicy P action last night.
Yeah. Anything to stop James Harden. I can't stand that guy as a.
Yeah, he's been pretty invisible, to be honest. Last night he didn't do a whole lot.
Good. Keep it that way. Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes. He's a real deal.
What Johnny, what do you listen to when you're training in the mornings, or when you were training?
Yeah, it's funny. So like I would say the last year or so I stopped training with listening with anything. So I used to listen to things a lot. I moved my training from the evenings to the morning. I'd say maybe a year and a half ago, for a few reasons. Training in the evening, I'd get home from work and I'd be tired from work and have to train, right? And like it was taking its toll on the family, and it wasn't fair. And for me to continue doing what I do, like I had to make the decision to move stuff in the morning, which meant waking up at 5 o'clock.
Sacrifice, got to do it.
But it's a sacrifice, right? And that's the only way I could see my kids. Like I'd get home from work and train, and wouldn't see the kids at bedtime, and it was terrible. But like that's what I was doing, and I had to switch that. So I switched to the mornings. The mornings are dark, and I don't like having things going in my ears when it's dark, because there's cars out there, and it's more just for a safety reason, right? I've never had a super close call, but there's definitely times where you give a car a little tap and say, hey buddy, like I'm here. Like you might want to kind of watch your surroundings.
It's either a car or it's a motorized scooter if you're in Southern Ireland, right? Motorized scooter capital of Ontario.
So yeah, I used to listen to a lot of like the old, honestly, my high school playlist is my playlist. Like a lot of the old Screamo, Alexis on Fire.
I love it. Death from
That
Above.
kind of stuff. Death from Above is blaring in my ears if I got the tunes going.
Yeah.
I got the Garmin watch, which has the Bluetooth speakers. Sorry, the Bluetooth music connection. So I can I program the watch with my music and just have my Bluetooth headphones going, which is pretty sweet. But again, I've stopped doing that since I started moving to the morning training, more just for safety than anything else.
Makes sense. So how far are you running, like in preparation for the Boston Marathon?
Yeah, that's
like
a good question.
20K, 30K? What's a marathon? 30K?
So a marathon's 42.2 kilometers.
Damn.
Pretty darn far.
Damn.
If I'm not in a build, I stick to like the low in a week, about between 90 and 95 kilometers a week. But if I'm in like the heat of a build, I'm pushing 130 kilometers a week, and like
over 7 days.
Over 7 days, so I train every day. 130 kilometers or so, but like I'm pretty routinized too. Like Monday is pretty easy. Tuesdays are always some sort of workout, like a speed workout. If it's winter, I'll do it on the roads. If it's summer, I'll go to the track. But you can't use an icy track. Wednesdays, I normally do a hill workout. There's some friends that go to Queenston. We run Queenston Heights repeats, and it's perfect, right? Nice. Like it's good camaraderie, and Queenston Heights, like you do Queenston Heights, and then you do Heartbreak Hill. It's like, oh man, Heartbreak Hill is nothing compared to what I do every single week. Which is pretty cool. Like there's people, I remember talking to people before the race, and they're like from Idaho or like, middle of the States where it's flat as can be, and they're like freaking out about having to do hills. It's like, I do this every day.
Yeah, this is nothing.
And when I say every day, like literally every day. Wednesdays normally hill workout. Thursdays I do some sort of marathon tempo. So tempo would be like somewhere between 12 and 16K at the pace I want to do for a marathon, with a little pre and post couple kilometers. Fridays is normally pretty easy. Saturdays is when I meet with my Morningstar team. We normally do like Font Hill, at the lowest around 16K, but we'll go up to 32, 34 kilometers when we're kind of pushing towards a race. So it's a great team. And again, I got super fortunate. Niagara, we have some really talented runners in the area, and I've been super fortunate to link up with them just through, some connections and I have a couple of friends that, linked me up with some other good runners, and there's some serious talents in the area, and we're all just kind of like, we're an official team or anything like that. We're just a group of people who enjoy running and meet up together. So, but
That's
like if you're looking at like the, even the national rankings right now, there's a bunch of us that are, putting our names out there through like on the national stage, just running together on Saturdays.
Man, the power of finding like that group is so
Oh, it's
underrated.
huge.
If
And
you
like
people that have the same like the same purpose and same like experiences that you're sharing at the same time, it's like one of the most powerful things ever.
there's times
Ever.
like I'll wake up in the morning and it's groggy and I'm tired and it's like, I'm looking at my pace on my watch, I'm trying to do, I don't know, let's just say a 4:30 pace, 4:30 kilometer pace. And it's like some mornings that's a struggle. And you hit it up with the group and you're doing double the distance at that pace. And it's like, why is this so easy right now? Like why is running with these people doing the same thing I'm doing by myself way easier? It's just because
Yeah.
you're together, you're talking, you kind of forget about
Yeah.
what you're doing, right? And so yeah, we have some really really talented people in the area, which is it's great for all of us. And then
For
yeah, so
sure.
Sundays, my one thing I do differently than a lot of people, I'll do a Saturday long run, and then I'll do a Sunday like medium long run as well. So I'll bank like 50 kilometers, 55 kilometers back to back days, like a 30-20 sort of thing.
That's
um,
wild, man. Good for you.
and
Good
but I
for you.
find like if you put your body through that like every week, it just
Yeah.
becomes normal. Like
Yeah.
again, like when you're building kilometers, it sucks, your body's not used to it, and every couple of extra kilometers, like it's terrible. But when you
Super
start doing
sore.
things every single week, like it just becomes, your body almost craves it. Like right now I'm not doing anything, and it's like I almost feel like I a little itch to get back out there.
Yeah. So what? Well, you just went. You did the Boston Marathon. I looked up your
Yeah,
time, and
yeah,
like I saw the qualifying time for the marathon is 3 hours roughly for our age group,
correct,
3:05, I
yeah,
think.
3 hours, yeah,
And you did it in about 2.5. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, 2 hours
So
and 33 minutes.
so now that you've done that and you've crushed that goal, what's like the next big thing you think for yourself in the running career?
Yeah, I was thinking about that this week.
Talking Olympics here, Johnny?
Nah, not that level. But like I'd love, so in the marathon world, there are six major races. So there's New York and Boston, which I've just done recently. So I've done two of the six majors, and then I'm planning to go to Chicago in the fall. So Chicago is another one of the six majors. So by Thanksgiving, I'll have half the majors done. The unfortunate thing, those are the three local-ish ones. The other three are a little more costly to get to. So there's one in Berlin,
Yeah.
one in London, and one in Tokyo. So ultimately I'd love to be able to do those if things work out health wise and financially and career wise. If I'm able to do those sorts of things,
Yeah.
it would be amazing. And I think honestly, like if I get those six races done, like I would be happy calling it a career and just
Dude.
focusing on life and family and career and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. The Grand Slam of marathons. There you go.
right, so there's a special medal called the 6-star medal, which is kind of a prestigious one if you've able, because like there's qualifying standards for those different races, and they're not the easiest to get into. So if you're able to do those six, it's a pretty prestigious thing. So
Yeah. And Father Time waits for no one as well.
father
Like
time
there's a
doesn't
cap
wait.
on this,
So
man. Yeah, there's a cap.
exactly. And
You
I've
gotta
been
stay
pretty
healthy
fortunate.
and
Oh,
all that.
that's it. Like I've been really fortunate since like my major health issues. I've been relatively healthy. Like you have some little runner injuries here and there, Achilles thing or a groin thing or whatever, but nothing that's kind of slowed me down too much. So like chances are something will happen. So you don't really want to
Yeah.
push that envelope for too long. So
Yeah.
I'd
Nice.
be happy in a couple of years if I hit those six races up, just to call it a quits, and maybe do the odd run with friends here and there and keep that
Sure.
social aspect alive a bit. But
Sure.
on the competitive side, like it does take a lot out of you, focus wise, mentally, time, physically, all that stuff, right? So it is, I don't want to say it's a burden because I enjoy it obviously, but it's a commitment, right?
Yeah. Have you ever thought of transitioning into coaching? Like I know Niagara Olympic Club's nice. There's a couple. There's one in Grimsby, I think. I maybe
Yeah,
might
there's
be
a
more
Thorold
Throwers
one now
Club.
too. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a few local ones that are pretty popular. Coaching with the running, like I like doing it on the school level. So at school, actually we're just firing up the run club again next week on Monday. So in the fall and the spring, we run with the kids. We have a couple kids that are actually pretty talented as well at the school level. And I like doing it at the school level because it gives some kids an opportunity to do something that they wouldn't otherwise have. And again, going back to like my roots, like I remember those moments as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember like a teacher giving me that chance and
Yeah.
like how important that was for me in my life. And I kind of hope to be able to pay that forward a little bit and, be that same person for, kids today. Kids who are in track clubs, like they have the opportunity, they have the finances, they have the time, they have the parents. there's a
Gotcha.
whole lot of factors to it, right? If you just, run club at school, the kids show up at that time, and that's about all there is to it, right? So
Yeah.
it's giving an opportunity to kids who might not otherwise have that chance. I know for yourself, like with coaching basketball at the school level, it's a similar thing, right? You got kids who play rep ball, and you got kids who are just, good basketball players without any other opportunities.
Yeah, and that might be the only time they ever get the chance to do it. So it's on us to kind of be there and provide it for them, because everybody
Yeah,
deserves that chance, right? No matter what level they're at.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
That's cool. Hey, local guy, or I don't know if he's still local anymore. Mohammed Ahmed. He's the guy who's Olympics for
Ahmed
Canada.
Ahmed,
Ahmed
yeah.
Ahmed. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry,
You ever,
Mohammed
you
Ahmed.
ever,
Sorry, Mohammed Ahmed. My bad.
Mohammed Ahmed. Did you ever run with him
Oh
before?
my gosh. So here's my story.
He's Olympic medalist, right? Like did he
He's an
win?
Olympic medalist. No, he got the bronze medal
Okay.
at the most
Previous
recent Olympics
yeah.
in like an epic race. It was awesome. I've never run with him. I was actually supposed to run with him back in the fall. So the Morningstar team that I run with, one of the guys who runs with us used to actually be Mo's coach back when Mo was a kid.
Okay.
So there's a connection there, which is pretty cool, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's seen Mo since he was, a 14-year-old, 13-year-old kid,
I remember him in
I
the
remember him
collegiate
when we were
days,
young. I remember him
and
in those
like
days
pencil
too.
thin man, just like lapping the field all the way at offs, like destroying people.
I
He was
remember
that
like
good.
because he trained at Niagara Olympic Club, which is by
Yeah.
West Park School, which is gone now. But I remember having soccer games at West Park School and Niagara Olympic Club, be running laps, like the long distance guys be running laps around the field, and there he was, like this, he stuck out just because of the way he looked.
Yeah.
Guy just flying around. I know I've been playing soccer and like, who is this kid who's flying, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, after he won his medal, he was back home visiting some family. He lives in the States for the most part now for training purposes, and I think he was in Oregon. But yeah, so he came back home to visit family, and one of our guys that we run with, invited him out to run with us for the one Saturday morning, and Mo was like, "Sure, yeah, I'll come run with you guys." I'm like, "Oh, this is super cool!" Actually, like running with an Olympic like medalist here, right? Like, one of the top runners in the world. My son that morning woke up with like COVID symptoms and ended up having to get like the testing done, and it was like kind of still in the heat of COVID stuff, and it's like, I would feel terrible if I like infected Mohammed with COVID because of me showing up. So it's like, as much as I was like frustrated and wanted to be there, I was like, I can't do this right now. I can't do it. So like,
gotta
I
go
bailed on the run. Saw the
man.
pictures of all my friends like with Mo doing the Morningstar loop, which is cool because like the Morningstar loop is kind of a known loop in the area for people who are long distance runners. It's a 16K loop. It's got some hills. It's not an easy loop. You're going up kind of by Morningstar Mill, where the big
I actually
is
drove
on
past you one time on a weekend. I was like, oh, that's Johnny B running out
there
with
we go.
orange toucan. I was like, that's definitely you.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I missed out on the run with Mo, which would have been pretty cool experience, and one of those little things that still irks me a little bit, but it is what it is.
All
COVID,
good,
COVID throws monkey wrenches in your life.
Oh, absolutely, it has. It's been a weird couple of years, but we're out of it now. Moving into the future now, back to normal. So
yeah,
it's all good, man. Your love of running though really helps kind of with your side hustle, with the reffing game.
Yeah,
still doing that?
Yeah, so I've been refereeing for almost 20 years. I'm actually the district referee coordinator now for Niagara, which is I'm responsible for a lot of the education stuff for new referees, kind of connecting them with their clubs.
It's just soccer, right?
Just for soccer, yeah. I'm trying to get them like the proper courses. I'm kind of the go-to email guy for a lot of stuff. So this time of the year is really busy because soccer is kind of kicking off, and a lot of people with questions about how to become a referee. How do we do the course? What's the process? So there's quite a bit of time spent on that this time of the year. But yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years. Refereed like fairly high level stuff. I had a chance to do higher than that, but just because of the commitment it takes to get to that level, I chose not to keep pushing that envelope, because you can't do everything, right? And as much as I love to do certain things, I decided to stay more on the local level and enjoy the local. Yeah, exactly, right.
You're on the road. I
need to be home sometimes. So
yeah.
But yeah, I've been doing that for a long time, and again, like you said, so my training log, like if you look at my kilometers compared to some of the like elite runners, like I'm even saying 120 kilometers is a little bit low compared to some of the super elites. But like when I'm doing 4 hours of soccer pretty much every night, in the summer, like I don't count those kilometers. I don't log that. So like I'm basically doing doubles all summer, right? My
Yeah.
workouts in the morning and my soccer workouts at night, right? So
Yeah.
again, it's a different level of running. Like you're not running the entire time, but you're still putting that time on your feet. And depending on level, like I do a lot of the Brock University games now.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I was there
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago doing exhibition games. So I do like that's kind of the level I do a lot of now is kind of like the higher local level stuff. Um, I mean, yeah. So, but you're moving with those guys. Those guys are fit. Those guys can run. Like
Oh,
that's no joke, right? So,
no doubt.
so I do a lot of that stuff, and you're putting in the time. A lot of that's like sprinting and stopping and going, right? And when
Yeah.
you're doing that for back-to-back games or something like that, that's 4 hours on your feet. So
Yeah.
it's a different kind of workout, but honestly, I think it pays off too. Like there's got to be some sort of payoff from putting that time in.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, you're growing a network of relationships too, and you're mentoring
For
people
sure.
through the ranks too. I
Yeah, and there's
remember,
guys I know from soccer who are also into running, right? Which is
yeah,
kind of cool and
build friendships.
for sure.
I remember back in the Brock days when I was playing ball there, I remember seeing some of the soccer guys and like they were generally shorter dudes and some of the muscles these guys had on their legs. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I'm tall because I would never be able to play any other sport if I wasn't as tall as I was. Because these guys are like in just crazy good shape. And
Yeah,
they just, I don't know. I don't think some of the teams at certain universities don't get enough credit for how good they are and like how much dedication they do. Because I
yeah,
know I've been to the Brock games. There's not a whole lot of fans outside. They're playing in like September and November, and like it's cold, and like no one wants to be out there.
for
And
sure.
we were spoiled playing inside of the gym all the time, where it was nice and warm. So shout out to those guys for doing what they do.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely like, again, you look at different sports and there's different sort of like skills that are, better for different sports, right? So those tall guys like you are definitely not cut out for soccer as much.
No,
You're on tall player, but not too many too tall guys like you.
no. And sorry, shout out to the women and men's teams at
For
university
sure.
level.
Yeah.
Not just dudes. Everybody's putting in their time. They're all varsity
100%.
athletes have a crazy schedule. Not as crazy as you though, man. Like, so you're juggling, you're running, training, refereeing in the summertime,
Yeah.
the behind the scenes stuff, like in this time of year, like just getting into it,
Yeah.
teaching,
Yeah.
family, man, church on the weekends. Like like how do you schedule your time? Like how do you make sure you're doing
It's
the
a
right
juggling
things?
act, man. Like sometimes well, I wonder if there's things I could push aside and drop some of those balls, but it's really hard. Like I enjoy different things and there's different expectations that I have of myself for certain things, and it's hard to let any of those things go right now. So it is a juggling act for sure. I give a lot of credit to Michelle for like keeping things together in the home front. Because like I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without like her stability at home with the kids and the family and stuff. So
Yeah.
I know sometimes what I do put strain on that, and which is difficult sometimes, but yeah, I'm thankful for the situation that I have with her kind of keeping things together on the home front.
Behind any strong, busy, proactive guy, there's a strong chick taking care of things, keeping
You
things in
got it,
line,
buddy.
That's how it works.
You
That's how it
got
works.
it.
Cool. But yeah, you got a couple kids now and they're growing up
Yeah,
quick
I
and they're
got
into sports too, I
yeah.
would
Aria's
assume.
birthday was yesterday, so she's 9 years old, which is crazy. Like I remember
That is crazy.
holding her in my arms like as a little tiny kid. She's almost like double digits now, which is it blows your mind how fast you grow. Leighton's 7. Ari's in the gym right now, so she's a gym rat. She's there 17 hours a week doing gymnastics. So
Following
she's
after Papa. You're setting the
she's
standard, man.
yeah, so she loves it. She's pretty competitive and pretty talented as well. So we'll see what happens long term. Like her downside is not her fault, but she's got my genetics and she's going to be tall. So tall gymnastics girls are not it's not the not the ideal body type for an elite level gymnast. So but right now as a kid she's loving it, and that's the important thing, right? She's got a good set of friends there,
Yeah.
and gymnastics, it's a good foundation for pretty much every sport. Like I look at a lot of female athletes, and a large percentage of them actually have gymnastics as their foundation, just from a commitment standpoint and like kind of your overall fitness standpoint.
Yeah.
So she loves
Power,
it. So
core.
she's competing twice more this year. She's got a competition in Burlington, and then she's qualified for provincials in June, which is pretty cool. And then Leighton's 7. He loves soccer, so I'm coaching a soccer team this summer. Another thing that's another ball I'm trying to hold up. So
Yeah.
he wants to play soccer as long as daddy's coaching. So
Hey, there you go.
make the time
Yeah.
for that, right? That's important.
Yeah.
So he's got a
Start cutting
couple of
up the
his
orange slices, getting them ready.
right
Here we
orange
go.
slices, freezies, watermelon, all that good stuff, right? So Yeah, so he's playing soccer in the summer. He enjoys doing that. He actually likes basketball a lot too. So he was playing in Pelham over the winter in the Pelham Panthers program, and he
That is a
loved it.
legit program.
I think he might like basketball more than soccer, which is great. Hopefully, he gets my height too,
Yeah.
and can
Yeah.
keep going down that route too. So, but
We
yeah, they're both into sports, and they're both energetic kids, which keeps us on our toes. But I'd rather have that than the opposite. So
sit on the phone, sit on the laptop, just playing games. Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, we're in a good spot for having kids in sports. There's a lot around in Niagara that you can go and put your kid into, and there's a lot of good programs. Whatever sport you want to play, football,
Yeah,
basketball,
for sure. I even
volleyball.
look at like,
We're spoiled, man.
and it's been a fairly recent development too. I'd say the last maybe 10 or 15 years. Like we've got that new Meridian Center, both of them, like the St. Catharines one and the Pelham one.
Yeah.
Like all the high schools have wicked fields with wicked tracks now. Like those didn't exist when we were kids.
Yeah, the new Canada Games field's up and running.
It's
now
awesome,
by
right?
Brock
So I
there.
drive by there every day on the way to work, and
Yeah.
they've got the track there. They've got that new facility outside. Like there's a lot of development, even in Welland. Like we have that recreational canal for the canoe and kayaking and all that stuff. And like that's a world-class facility in Welland, right? I was when I was in Boston, you saw these rowers out on in the open water in Boston. It's like they're struggling with the open water waves, and it's like, wow, I guess that's why people really love coming here, because it's it's enclosed. You don't have that the tide. You got a closed facility, right, which doesn't really exist anywhere, right? It's an old canal, so
spoiled.
it's people come here and are blown away by some of the facilities that we have. So yeah, we're really fortunate. Again, we take some of that stuff for granted, eh?
Yeah, it's hard to kind of step away and think about like what others don't have and what we have, but as long as like the kids are enjoying it and it's growing and the communities are growing, it's all good, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Johnny, I'll leave you on this, man. We have Raptors game 6 Thursday night. Do the Raptors get a win?
They're at home. They should have won game 2.
They should have.
Or was that game 3? No, it was game 3. Sorry, they should have won game 3. That game was disappointing, man. Those missed free throws by Achua down the stretch hurt the soul. But they looked really good that game. And you know what? Like Scotty Barnes is on a different level right now. I think he's hurt and he's a grinder. He's playing through it. He's got the heart that Harden and Embiid don't seem to have right now. So I'm hoping Scotty Barnes can put a couple things together. Like Fred VanVleet's out, but they looked okay without him last game. And do they pull at game 6 at home in Toronto in the T-Dot? I'm going to say yes. Game 7's anybody's game, I would say.
It's a wild card, yeah. Anything
game
can happen.
6 at home, I think, is Toronto's game. Going back to Philly for game 7, I think it's going to be trouble. But Doc Rivers is not much of a closer. And he's
his last like 9 or 10 closeout games he's lost. Some crazy stuff like that.
Shocking stat. I remember seeing it before too. And like the Clippers and where was he before Clippers? Boston?
He was in Boston. He was with LA. 2 series in a row. They were up 3-1 in different playoffs. He couldn't close out the series with the Clippers. And then one time
that happens like with a 3-0 series. Like
I
don't know how you can rebound in your career like at all after that. Like that's a game over.
I think so. Hopefully the Raps can pull it off. Remains to be seen. So. But game 6, let's get a win in game 6. Move on to game 7, and then whatever happens in game 7.
For sure,
Johnny. Incredible story, man. I really appreciate you taking the time with me to kind of share it today. I know you're a busy guy, as you said. So thank you so much for doing that. Great to reconnect with you as well, man, and see the face again and just shoot the shit a little bit here. And if people do want to kind of get in touch with you, running tips, anything like that, what's the best way to kind of get a hold of you, man?
Oh man, I'm not a big social media guy. I don't have time for that. But Facebook, I guess I have Facebook going. I don't have the Instagram. I don't have the Twitter. Best way to connect with me, I don't know, connect with you and shoot me a message through you.
We can do that. I'll also put your Facebook link in the description of this video. But
sounds good.
Thanks, buddy. Great to see you again. All the best this summer and with the kids and with Mish and everybody. And hope you find the next goal for the next marathon and keep crushing it, man.
Yeah, good catching up with you too, and all the best with the financial goals and the everything you're doing at home. It's awesome.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right. Good catching up, buddy.
See you, man.
Ciao.
Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Jon Bradnam and his incredible resiliency and story of perseverance. I'm still in awe of what he's accomplished in life, and I know he's got a lot of huge goals left to chase and ultimately complete. When talking to someone like Jon, you can't help but feel energized afterwards and ready to take on the world just like he has. It's infectious. And like really all I want to do is thank him so much for taking time out of his busy schedule to jump on the show and chat. And if you want to keep listening to more episodes of the Buy Back Your Life show, make sure you click the follow button on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you're listening. That way you'll be notified every Tuesday when the newest episode is available. Thanks so much for listening and keep investing in yourself.